Guardians, we all know what it means to be repellent of light, to grasp in the farthest reaches of the solar system and pull back a spark of arc energy, to clear our minds and find strength in only the void that remains, to harness our frustrations into a smoldering solar flame. But what of the darkness? How much do we really know or understand of this formidable foe? What if you could reach into the night and summon a song that could stay any enemy? Swing a blade of logic that has the strength to tear a hole in space and time? Or wield a weapon that contains the soul of a god? Today, Guardians, this is what we are here to learn: the true meaning of darkness and what it means to wield it in the name of the Traveler.
As of late, the weapons of sorrow have been a pretty hot topic within the Destiny community. With Return of Thorn in Year 3, the story of Zyri Orsa, Tebin Gray, and the creation of their Dark Guardian fire team, if you will, really has people talking. But with all this conversation going on around me, what I've been thinking about is the connections our weapons might have with the two known weapons of sorrow. I simply can't get it out of my mind, and it's turned into quite the rabbit hole for me. So if for any reason any of this comes across as muddled or hard to follow, I apologize. Reach out to me on Twitter, in the Focus Fire Discord chat, or in the comments below. I will be happy to clarify any questions you may have or willing to entertain any rebuttals. I'm going to do my best to not just make stuff up here. Where I can, I will reference the grimoire, flavor text of weapons or items, as well as dialogue from quotes or in-game. At the end of the day, I concede to the fact that a good portion of this is conjecture, theory, and speculation, hence my openness to feedback. If you are new to the Destiny lore community and not familiar with what the Weapons of Sorrow are, I urge you to check out Mylan Games' video on the topic. A link to the video will be in the description below. In his video, he gives a very good rundown on what criteria must be met to be a Weapon of Sorrow, and discusses the attributes in detail concerning the two known weapons we currently have in game, Thorn and Necrochasm. So why do I think our current weapons contain some sort of link or connection to these two weapons? In most ways, they are not related at all, and the relation that I speak of does not pertain explicitly to the weapons themselves, but the mindset that brought them about. What actually got me started on this path did not happen with the release of Rise of Iron. No, this goes way back. I want to start with the Grimoire card, Upgrade Materials. And from that card, I'm going to take a small line away from it. The most powerful Guardian equipment transcends ordinary science, entering the realm of Golden Age secrets and the Traveler's power itself. See, before the Traveler came to Earth, our weapons were, as one would imagine, not much unlike what we have access to today. But after the Traveler came to Earth, the people got smarter. And as we got smarter, we began to understand how light works. That's the power of the Traveler, by the way. And in turn, use that new knowledge in all sorts of new ways. There is another piece of grimoire that pretty much describes this in a very general sense. The following exchange is presumably between Clovis Bray and one of his children, from the grimoire card, The Golden Age. When I was your age, people thought we knew everything. We had scientific laws and human truths, even a model of the universe. People carried pictures of the past and tried to have a clear vision of their difficult future. I didn't know everything, of course, but when I was a boy, I had every expectation of living a smart, short life and learning quite a lot more. Then the before was finished. You know why? That's when everybody, particularly the smartest of us, learned that we knew nothing. We were children, and our little ideas were toys, and the universe was cut apart with great ideas and magnificent, immeasurable potentials. So what exactly is Clovis going on about here? Paracausality is exactly what he's talking about. First of all, what does paracausal mean? Well, there's a great article on Bungie.net that I'll include a link to in the description below that goes over this, but let's break it down just a bit. In all the observable sciences that we ascribe to today, we have a very simple concept that you learned in grade school called cause and effect. Example, you push a ball and it rolls across the floor. The effect is the ball rolled across the floor, and the cause is you pushed it. A cause cannot and should not precede its intended effect, and the effect cannot happen before its cause. In other words, the ball should not simply roll across the floor from point A to point B, followed by you moving to point A to push the ball. Doesn't make sense, right? That is causality in a nutshell. Paracausal basically means that it is beyond or outside the realm of causality. If the ball did move across the floor, it was probably because a warlock was in the room and they wanted to play games with your head. Almost all our abilities as guardians are paracausal. Have you been slapped by a storm trance warlock from across the room? Paracausal. No, seriously. Shooting electricity out of one's hands defies causality. A titan forming a bubble or a solar-infused hammer defies causality. Us just being guardians defies causality. So it makes sense that we have these abilities. And we get these abilities and gifts from the Traveler. People of the Golden Age were bestowed many of what I feel to be paracausal gifts from the Traveler as well. Tripled lifespans. Instantly, we had huge increases in our general aptitude and understanding of science and mathematics. And the smartest of us, as Clovis Bray mentions in the excerpt I quoted from above, learned how to break past the laws of our then current scientific understanding and boundaries to create amazing things. Things such as glimmer. From glimmer, they created the engram, to the study of mind forking and exotechnologies. The list goes on and on. And you know, now that I'm really thinking a lot about the Golden Age, 200 years after the Traveler came to Earth, those smart people, Clovis Bray, sort of do the same thing that Osiris and Tolan do in our time as Guardians. Not to mention Yor, Vel, and Tevin. They begin to seek a greater understanding of knowledge, and to do that, they must think outside the box. Many of the perks that we see on our weapons today fit squarely in the middle of causality. Examples of those perks include pretty much all of the different scopes that can roll on any given weapon, except exotics. But since those are ballistic options, they fit this category quite nicely. Next, we have perks like Casket Mag, Braced Frame, Small Bore, Explosive Rounds. Yes, they exist today, so yeah. Perks like these, and too many others to name, are what I like to loosely call mechanical perks. In other words, these perks modify your weapon that improve performance of that weapon and nothing else. Next, we have paracausal perks. These include and are not limited to Headseeker, Rangefinder, Lightweight, Quick Draw. Now, I believe that our first stab at getting these paracausal perks onto our armaments was through the use of onboard electronics and later AI systems. Examples of these include the Tamerlan C3, the Trajan C, Pulsar MSM, and one of the most popular, Super Good Advice, Exotic Heavy Machine Gun. This is also documented quite well in a lot of the early armor that we get from the game, such as the Xyna Jaguar Hunter armor, the Axiom Coven Warlock armor, and pretty much anything from the GNT research labs. All of these have onboard electronics AI systems that give the wielder of the weapon or wearer of the armor a massive advantage. But soon, it was proven that these advantages were not enough. And this is where Osiris and Toland come into the picture. Toland's study of Hive Arcana was unparalleled amongst Guardians, to the point he was exiled from the tower. But we know that his pursuits were for the greater good. He wanted to push past our current understanding and gain new insights into the darkness so that we may defeat it. In his pursuits, he learned of new magic and powers that, when applied properly to our weapons and armaments, gave us great strengths and abilities that went far beyond what we were capable of at the time. We all know that Toland was a very talented gunsmith, and he was known to wield a weapon by the name of Shadow Price. If you take a close look at Shadow Price, you will find that it is a slightly modified version of the Hake Martial A. Some of you may or may not know that I am a firm believer that Toland was also the Mad Guardian that created Red Death. Knowing that the Red Spectre was a prototype of Red Death, if we compare those to the Shadow Price, you will see a very striking similarity. I believe that Toland knew of the weapons of sorrow and had studied them to great length, along with the teachings of Osiris, to the point that he understood what went wrong with them. Examples of this are from the Year 2 Trials of Osiris leg armor Blind Sight, the courage to walk into the darkness, but strength to return to the light, Parables of the Offspring. Then, from the text of Necrochasm, is your light bright enough to stand, even briefly, in full gaze of the Hive's abyss? Can it handle what has died and been reborn in those shadows? Kinda gives a whole new meaning to the name Shadow Price, doesn't it? I think Toland created Shadow Price from what he learned studying under Osiris, as a personal reminder that walking in the shadows of the darkness held a dangerous price and to be wary of it. He then began to make modifications that flow into the Red Spectre, and finally to the Red Death, which gives Guardians the paracausal ability to regenerate health through killing. It basically emulates what the Hive do to survive. It takes the light from one thing and gives it to the wielder of the weapon in the form of a supercharged recovery and reload abilities. Bad Juju, known to be the creation of Toland, does something similar in that it gathers the light of the enemies it kills and supercharges your intellect stat, allowing you to charge your super faster, as well as auto-reloading your weapon combined with crowd control. When dealing with mobs of anything, this weapon is priceless simply because of its perks. In both these examples, Toland pushed the boundaries of what was possible with our weapons, just as Clovis Bray did with his various research projects during the Golden Age. The fact that both of them are seen as madmen just proves that great power and knowledge comes at a price. Are you willing to pay that price, or are you strong enough to push through the veil of the darkness and escape its shadows? I hope you enjoyed this episode of Destiny Item Trivia with your host, Unisys12. You can find me on Twitter at Unisys12, as well as in a Focus Fire chat room somewhere on their Discord server. Until next time, keep your arrows sharp, your sights clear, and your code clean.